No, but I'll hold it.
Okay.
I'll hold it. No pockets. I'll hold it. It's just lots of dress space.
Okay.
And I've lost weight, but the being sick is good. I've shed about 5 kilos. You can't go wrong.
Wow.
It's the best. This is amazing.
Everything is removed.
Sorry.
The tumor is completely removed.
All is removed. The cysts are gone. The tumor is removed.
That's
so
fantastic.
I'm in good space. I just need to center. I am prepared to do once a term, if you need me, a topic of interest that talks to them.
That would be lovely.
It would be, I live for this.
You know, people like you do not want to partner with us. The industry doesn't like us.
Why?
They say we're only theorists, we don't know what we're talking about.
Here's the sad part about it. Industry, and I'll explain it, the role of hotels, you know, what do they do?
So I met I think it's your colleague that referred me to you.
Denzel.
I want to call him Nigel all the time, I don't know why.
Don't worry, we are so from the same disease. I look at someone and says, you look like a Steve. And then he sticks. It's okay.
Like if you can't remember my name, call me Samantha.
I just do it. I work with a lot of people, and then some guy says, "You call me Steve." I said, "But what is your name?"
Doesn't matter.
No, Denzel is amazing.
We had what we call industry, an advisory committee meeting.
Yes.
So every year we invite people from the industry to come and give us feedback on if they received our students, you know, what's happening in the industry. Should we adapt our program to ensure that when our students leave the program, that they are employable?
Okay.
So it's very important for us to partner with industry.
It is.
And to know, you know, what are the requirements, how are things changing?
And where are they going and how are we going? Because tourism is doing, it's like the rand, it changes all the time. And you're playing in different, what we used to call a normal advert is now. Some people go in and say, we don't do ads on television, and we speak to our clients in their languages. So instead of having an ad in Germany, we don't market to consumers, for instance. It's not our job. We use the tour operator, we use the travel agency to get to the consumer. And then we will get to meet the consumer maybe at a trade show. It's such a changing, and also the economies in the world have changed to say, why do we go and spend most of our time selling to America when Africa gives us more numbers?
Will you also mention to them who the market is?
Yes, I'll talk to them about where do we play, who do we play with them, how do we get to play with them. So, for instance, the number of Japanese that come here, there's so many Japanese that come here, and the only reason they come here for is jacarandas. Thousands of them. And then the Chinese, they come here and they go to Fort Rica Monument. They love it. The biggest arrival numbers are from the Asian market at Fort Rica Monument. Okay, the Dutch love it because we have iconic monuments like Palace of Justice, the synagogue, the gallows, the M1 hospital, which are all linkages to the Mandela journey. Very few people know about it. So I will tell them, and I'm controversial because I tell people don't come here for our hotel experience. It's the lost. When they do the value chain, says, is it safe? They want to, there's a bucket things that they must do. And we are perceived as a very humanitarian, very warm, hospitable, and we spend a lot of money going to, the biggest market for South Africa is UK, US, Germany. And then the other markets, who do we play with is, and we don't determine it as Tanya. We look at what South African tourism is doing. They give us the input in terms of research, and then we trickle it down. So do they get to do research as one of their projects? Okay.
Okay, it's everyone.
You know them.
Thank you, Mrs. Kusana. Thank you. Okay, we're ready to start.
So this is on.
I'm going to wait for him to give us a go ahead.
This one, right?
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you very much for braving out the rain and being here. I see everyone's prepared with pens and papers. It's very important that you take notes. As I said, a lot of the information that will be presented today is going to meet you again in test 1. So make sure you listen carefully and make notes where applicable. So I've got the great opportunity to introduce to you Ms. Nkane. No. She's from Tshwane Tourism Association, or the City of Tshwane. And I just would like to point out that she's actually not allowed to be here. She had a huge operation. She's not even allowed to drive. So thank you very much for taking the effort and making time for meeting us. She has presentations prepared for you, so I'm giving over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Make sure when you listen, maybe jot down a question or two. She is a world of knowledge that she wants to share with you. So ask those questions you've been wondering about.
Thank you very, very much. It's an absolute honor. There's nothing greater than doing what you love. So this industry, your choice. You guys are far more intellectual than I am, far more academic, and I'm going to give you a quick background how I've landed in tourism. It was by grace of God and by default. I studied retail business management. All I wanted to do was to sell. My parents were highly academic. My mother was a professor of speech and drama. My father was an engineer, and he was into sales, and I just love selling. And studied, and we lived all over the world in my upbringing. And by matric, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do purchasing management. I couldn't make it, got into retail. After retail business management, I worked for Clicks. In fact, in my matric, I was a cleaner at Clicks. I used to clean just to get income. Loved it. First year varsity, second year varsity, third year. Second year varsity, I dropped out. I had a kid. I had a beautiful, he's now 25, is an honors student, international relations, about to be trekking off to Japan. Then worked for Clicks, and then I was, by grace, handpicked to join Wooltrue, which is Woolworths. Retail, thought this is it, I'm going to be the best fashion buyer in the world. Horrible. Horrible. There's like fashion industry, everybody's fighting whose product gets onto the shelf, who doesn't. From there I went and I worked overseas, but came back and thought, let me go overseas. I worked for MWeb. Worked for MWeb in retail marketing. From retail marketing, I got headhunted to work for an investment agency, Westgrow. Their core function is to promote the province, which was Western Cape Province, Cape Town, for as an investment and trade destination. And that's where my love fell. That's where I fell in love with marketing and destination, because they were focusing purely on trade and investment, which a lot of us tend to separate when we talk about destination marketing. We think we sell, there's two ways. We can either sell the touristic element of it, or do we sell the business side of it? After having done that for about 3 years at Westgrow, I was headhunted by South African Tourism to join them as a country manager. For 4 years in Holland, never spoken Dutch. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I not? It took me 6 months to get into Holland. Did I find my passion? Was it the most eye-opening experience? If you think you love a place like South Africa, wait until you go to a country and you have to talk about your country. That's when you either find out that you love your country or you're in disarray about your country. So I lived in Holland for 4 years and I worked there, came back, got asked by Cape Winelands to assist them destination marketing again with World Cup 2010. Had no idea the love I had for sport. Stayed in Cape Winelands for 2.5 years, got asked by Brazil, can I help them with a little city called Caxias do Sul with 2014 destination marketing. So, okay, there's two ways we can do this. There is the conventional, which is the slide, and there's this way. And I'm going to try and use both. Is that okay with you? Please, if there's something you don't understand, or if I speak too fast, please raise your hand, tell me to repeat it. Secondly, as she said, I came from an op, so I sometimes tend to forget, not a lot, but I'd come to like a blackout, so it's not because of you. Came back from Brazil. I then went and I assisted a lot of regions in the Cape Winelands who wanted to have, I combined tourism with business tourism. Business tourism, not in the essence of conferencing, but the business of tourism, people coming in and people going out. So I came back, applied for Tshwane. Thought, I've worked in Brazil, I've worked in Germany, I've worked in Holland, I've lived in Spain, I lived in Italy, you name it. Never been to Africa until I got to here, this side. And I thought, what is this destination marketing? How do people, because there was tourism marketing, there's destination marketing. Simply put, my job, very easy job, is to sell Tshwane holistically. Very simple. It's to take a destination like Tshwane, and everybody when I joined here, particularly the politicians, this is why are we investing so much money in selling a city that doesn't have a mountain? We don't even have a river. Okay, we don't have a sea. What are we selling? So a destination, people say, oh well, people come here because they're coming because it's Tshwane, or they're coming to a hotel, they know about the statue. Destination marketing to me is selling the entire package that the city has. And that package is not just about hotels. I get into so much trouble in Tshwane with the hoteliers, because I always tell people, when you choose a holiday, you don't choose it by saying, I want to stay at the Cape Grace. You know where you want to stay. Your budget tells you, it guides you. You choose a destination because of the senses that you want to fulfill, or the need. So you want to meet people. It's the food. It's the lifestyle. Okay? It's the scenic beauty. South Africa's top of mind when you go overseas and say, what do you love about South Africa? Scenic beauty. The people. The wine. The history, the culture, that's what is destination. Selling that and packaging it. Now, people say, what do we do as a city of Tshwane? Because, does anyone know how do we get from national South African tourism, provincial to Tshwane? Do you know how they call it the value chain of tourism in South Africa? So National Department of Tourism, you've heard about it? So it does policies. It does the policy on tourism, policy framework, and all of those governmental acts. It then has what you call a state-owned enterprise, state-owned entity. Has anyone heard of South African tourism? Okay. South African tourism's responsibility is to holistically sell the country. It goes out, gets money from Treasury and the National Department of Tourism. They give it money, they give it to 100 million. And they say to it, go spend it, market the country. It sounds like a lot, isn't it? 100 million. Then they say, but where do we start? So most important in destination marketing is research. Budgets, research. Your research then goes and says, okay, we're going to go and try and see who is our client and how do we get to them. Remember, in destination marketing, I do not engage personally with the customer. I sell the destination to people who sell the destination, who make money out of it. I sell the destination to people who can sell it and package it for me. Because we don't have the budgets to sell it directly to consumers. Does it make sense? Am I making sense? Okay, so they get budget, they're going to research. Research says there are 82 countries in the world. We can't play in with everybody. We can't be in every office like the Department of International Relations. But we get smart when we use the research and we say our biggest numbers in Africa are coming from SADC. Okay? So do we put an office there or do we put consultants there? Then they say the biggest spend, because we measure output performance in destination marketing and tourism by the spend. Does anybody know what the GDP contribution of tourism is to GDP? Do you know it? It's one of the largest. Our contribution as a sector, destination marketing tourism, 9.3%. That's high. Does anybody know what the employment rate is in South Africa? 26.7%. Does anybody know which is the second highest sector that employs? Tourism. Right now, it's contributing 2.5 million in terms of employment. It's a lot. Here's the joy while you're sitting in class and you're being educated about it. I always say this, and I say it with absolute respect. This is the one sector that doesn't need professors, because it's the sector whereby if you have a little bit of capital and you buy a car, you can move somebody from the airport with just a driver's license and a little bit of English. And if you speak French, it's even better. So it's a huge employment sector. And that's why destination marketing is very important, because having a product and without having a way to sell it, it's meaningless, right? It's like having a BMW sitting in a beautiful garage, and it's got all the beautiful specs, but nobody knows about it. So there's research. Research is dissected to say what are the things that we look at. Spend. How much do consumers spend, and where's the consumer coming from? How long do they stay in the country? So we know for a fact that the longest traveler in our markets, that stays the longest in this country, is from Holland. They spend a minimum of 21 days traveling this country, the Dutch. So how many times do they come back? So a traveler has got an option to say, I want to do South Africa in my bucket list, and I'll do it once, and then I move. The Dutch have got the highest repeater visitation. So they come the first time, they come the second time, they come up to 5 times. So where do South Africa play? So we've got China, we've got India, we've got Japan, we've got the US, we've got the UK, we've got Germany, we've got France. Now, there's been a change as well in the way South African tourism have moved it. They said, instead of doing countries, we're now going to do hubs. So they collect them. So they say Belgium, Netherlands, Nordic countries, 1 hub. Spain, Portugal, Italy, 1 hub. And Germany, in terms of Germany, the Germanic countries, which is Germany, Austria, Switzerland, 1 hub. The Americas, North and South America. Then you've got the Africa, which is divided east and west of Africa. Does it make sense? That has come about because of research. You can't thumbsuck it. Research tells us, and we spend a lot as a country on research. Stats SA is where actually the figures come from. Because every time a tourist comes in and comes out, you are told that the Stats SA and the airlines, there's a form that you fill. Has any of you ever been on a flight overseas? Did you have to fill in any forms when you come back through SAA? That form is what we take our stats for. And it's a gauge. And then we break it down by country, in country, and we'll speak to what we call a tour operator. So we've done the research, we've done the country identification, right? Now we get into say, how do we speak to the final consumer? Destination marketing. How do I, sitting in Swane, go and speak to the guy in Germany who is loaded and wants to come to Cape Town and get crispy burnt? I don't know his name. I don't know Wolfgang. So I go and I find a guy called OAD. It's a tour operator. Inbound. Do we know the words inbound, outbound? Inbound tour operator, outbound tour operator. Inbound tour operator works with a guy here called Fairfields. They're the ground handler. We know that terminology? Everybody's happy? Okay. Overseas, there are guys who are selling packages. Tour operators. It's too costly for them to have an office here. So they do business with an equivalent that's called a ground handler here. Okay? It's a tour operator. So Thompson's, Thomas Cook, Fairfield, these are the top names. I think Bidvest is one of them. Bidvest has got a tourism side to it. There's a big. So the Dutch guy The guy who's got, South African Tourism has got an office now in Italy, right? Or Holland, in my case. Let's make an example. I am the country manager for Holland, and I'm representing South Africa. I go and find who are the top sellers of the destination. Who are the guys who are moving big, long-haul travelers into South Africa? That's the one. I want to know who's my competitor. So when I was in Holland, I competed with India, and they were loaded. They had millions and millions and millions of euros. We sat with a budget of about 3 million for marketing. So what I did is I gathered all the big tour operators, and I said to them, how are you selling South Africa? And they showed me typical trip from Amsterdam. They land in Cape Town. From Cape Town, they'll do the garden route, they'll do the west coast, they'll do the interior, they'll do maybe a little bit of Northern Cape, but not really. They'll maybe do a little bit, then they'll get onto a plane, they'll come to Kruger. So, and I'm telling you this why. One of the core responsibility of a destination marketer is what we call geographic spread. It's all good that everybody flies into Cape Town. What happens if everybody flies into Cape Town and nobody flies into Mpumalanga? What happens? There's no geographical spread, is there? So the money is concentrated in one city, and it's a huge fight in South Africa right now to say, why is everything going to Cape Town? Why is everybody selling Cape Town? And why is everybody selling Kruger? Why is nobody selling Mpumalanga? Why is Mamelodi not being sold? Why is Atteridgeville not being sold? So we go to this tour operator and we say to him, listen, I'll give you 50,000 euros. And his eyes pop up. And he says, why? I said, I want you to put Mpumalanga on your trip. Yeah, but we can't sell when people don't know it. And I said, no, don't worry. I'll take you as a tour operator and your sales agents. I'll put you on an airline, and I'll give you an experiential. But before I get to an experiential, does anybody know what a JMA is? Joint Marketing Agreement. Joint Marketing Agreement is country manager, trade manager, or destination marketing manager goes to a tour operator in a foreign country, gives them a list of things that they want, joint marketing agreement, to say, you will sell, we'd like you to put Mamelodi. We see that you come into Tshwane and you just do Church Square and you do Voortrekker Monument, but I've got another route for you. I'd like you to do a cycling tour in Mums. They say, Mums, we never heard of it. I said, no, but we'll sort you out. We'll show it to you. And by the way, I've got a local tour operator, not the national ones, your Thompsons, who are the big guys who are running the tourism sector. The guy who actually is from Mamelodi, who has got a tour operating company, and I want you to use him. What am I doing? I'm selling what we call a PDI. Does anyone know what a PDI is? Previously disadvantaged individual to get into the business. So tourism is very, I'm going to be controversial. So, am I moving fast? Okay.
What is PDI?
Previously disadvantaged individuals. Transformation. Put the word transformation big, because I'll talk about it, because it's important in destination marketing. And for us, it's an internal hygiene factor. It's not an external hygiene factor. And I'll come back to it. So just remind me, because I walk a lot, I talk a lot. So the tour operator comes in. I do an agreement with him to say, I like what you're selling, but it's old. And let me tell you, most tour operators are selling South Africa what it stood to be 25 years ago. 25 years ago, what we were, they're still selling that. But before I get to selling South Africa, do you know who is responsible for collating tour itineraries? Do you know what an itinerary is? Yes. Okay. Do you know the company that does it? There's one company. There's one company. It's in the name of me, escaped me, and I will get the name. And they do the itineraries, and they send it off to the different countries. So there's no consultation of what. So if, does anybody know Dinokeng? Yes. Okay. I'm very impressed, because a lot of the hoteliers didn't know what Dinokeng is that were outside Dinokeng. So if I've got a guy who's sitting in the middle of Timbuktu doing itineraries and they don't know that there's a new region called Dinokeng, what happens? Missed opportunity, am I right? Am I right? So we go sit, and I say, as Nelly Swa, I'm going to go and sit with OAD, I'm going to sit with D. Risen, I'm going to sit with Thomas Cook, I'm going to sit with Fox. These are the top tour operators, and you handpick them. And I say to them, I've got for you, one of you, and you play them. You've got to play them. And you say, listen, I've got about 50, maybe 70, and I'd like you to show me your numbers. How many people are you bringing? They lie. They lie. They say, no, we're the biggest. They lie categorically. I said, okay, fine, I like that you're the biggest. Now, my 70K, here it is. Let's do the agreement. And then you have a little clause. I want to see your numbers. Your 70 now goes from 70 to 25 because they tell you they are the biggest and they all have a certain amount of market share. And then what do I put in my JMA? I want free tickets from them for media. I want an educational for their own staff. How do you sell something you don't know? So if they're a tour operator, then what they have is called a travel agents. This is the old conventional way. The travel agents do the booking. Remember now, in research, you break down your traveler. You've got the wanderluster, you know, you've got the guys who've left home, kids have left. You've got the first timers. It's all broken down. Who's your target market? Some go onto the internet, they book their flight, and they do a fly and drive. Some do what you call groups, right? Some do, because they repeat, they're more comfortable. You need to be able to say, where do you want to play? So you go to the tour operator and he tells you, listen, I do the best packages for my groups. And I'm prepared to take a leap of faith. But before I sell it, I need to get my travel agents to come in. Now in my joint marketing agreement, I say I will do 4 trips, incentives. The one who sells the most, they get a holiday here. But there's a group that comes, why am I doing that? You can't sell what you don't know. They come, they land in the city of Tshwane, we take them to a hotel, we show them, we spend money. We spend money on them and then we hit them and it says, okay, now you sell, this is your target, you missed your target, we'll pay you accordingly. They hate it. But you know what? You're binding them. Because the easiest thing is to give somebody money and say sell. And they'll sell you what they normally sell. It's easy, it's less costly. But now what did we do? As Tshwane, we went to Holland, and I used Holland because it was my base. I've got a very strong strategic relationship, and I said, gather all the top 2 operators, tell them this is who I am, this is what I'm doing now. Very excited. I said, okay. And I walked in knowing who I'm going to play with. And I said, I want your top business people. I want to bring conferences, I want to bring incentives, I want the leisure. Remember Tshwane, if you talk about Tshwane to anybody, even I think yourselves, 3 years ago, you probably said, what is in Tshwane that I can, if I was sitting in Cape Town and you invited me to Tshwane, where would you take me? 3 years ago. Where would you have taken me? Union Building. What else? What else do we have here? Okay, what else? Church Square. What's in Church Square? Huh? Okay, just that. I've got a surprise for you. So I discovered Church Square, and I work in Church Square. There's a little building called Palace of Justice. Do you know it? What's there? Okay, Coca-Cola's got a little thing that says, for you to work for us, you got to live and drink Coca-Cola. You got to live your brand. So, Church Square's got Paul Kruger, fantastic. Palace of Justice, you know what the relevance of Palace of Justice is? 1960, famous Mandela speech, never shall there be white or black domination. Do you know that how profound that building is? Puts Paul Kruger, Oom Kruger, to the schnitzel. Because what it does, in that Palace of Justice you go down, which I will organize for you, is the constitution of this country. It's a cell where Nelson Mandela was kept. And that's what people want to come and see. It's one thing to see the Paul Kruger statue, but this city is the one that epitomizes the new and the old. And I always say this to people in destination marketing, it is where freedom was lost, because this is the city where apartheid laws were passed, right? But it's the same city that Nelson Mandela was sworn in, and it's the same city. Is there anybody Xhosa in this room? Okay. Now, in our Xhosa culture, when you die, immediately you get taken to where you were born, your hometown. You never let your soul linger in another city. They come and they fetch you. But he chose to make this his home. He made this his home after he had died. And when you tell that to a foreign person, it hits home. Might not mean anything to us, because you know what, get on with it, get into a coffin, go and get buried, get on with it. So when we sell this province or this city, it's where freedom was lost, it's where freedom was found. Because, and I ask you this, because this was the city where if you wanted a divorce decree, you came here. You wanted your birth certificate, you came here. It's taking the history, because that's all we have in Tshwane, is the history. So when she asks, what is the value add, or what is the product differentiator of Tshwane? How would you sell Tshwane? You say the history, the culture, the people, the architect. It's not the sea. We don't have the sea, we don't have the grapes, am I right? We don't have the rivers, we don't have the dams. Okay, if you want to go to a dam, you go to Harties. But if you're looking for history, Ndebele people, they stay here. Some of them, the founding Ndebele people, are coming from here. There's a place outside Tshwane on the peripheral, where there is a Ndebele village where people come just to go and see them living in the village life, and that sells. We want to go to mainland, right? We say we want to go to mainland. We're going to go see the Dome. We're going to want to see Mary J. Blige. I'm like, no. Not the Europeans, not the Dutch, not the Americans. They want to see us in our natural environment. And that's what you're selling as destination marketing. So we've done the research, we've done the tour operator, joint marketing agreement. Joint marketing agreement is an agreement between the destination and the tour operator on how they're going to include us in their packages. The reason is because we want to take a piece of the pie. Does anybody know what the target for domestic tourism is? South African tourism's target for domestic tourists? No? Okay, please forgive that. Anyone heard of 5 in 5? 5 in 5? 5 in 5. 5 million tourists in 5 years. So, we've dissected the market. We've got the Americas, we know what we want from them, right? We've got the Europeans, we know what we want from them. We've got Africa, we know what we know from them, right? Domestic market contributes 53% of all travel in this country. So when we talk to the Europeans, we're selling something completely different, am I right? When we talk to the Americans, who have only 25% in a 300 million population, have got passports. So why spend my money marketing to America when I've got 5 million travelers in South Africa that could be going and traveling in my own country? Then we've got Africa. So we've dissected the market, we've dissected where we're going to play. Now comes how do we speak to them? In South Africa, we've got different ways. But before I get to South Africa, please excuse me. This is not going to stop. Let me just put this on. So, we've done the JMA. Now, the guy who have done the JMA says to me, but Neliswa, how the hell am I going to convince my travelers or my customers? How do we speak to them? So I've got the tour operator in the country, sorted. South African tourism comes in and says, listen, we've identified these countries, right? Is everybody with me? But we'll also give you a platform as a country and as a city, as a province, to come and market yourself so you meet new players. My job is to increase the number of visitors, come rain or sunshine. My job is to increase the number of visitors into the city of Tshwane, to increase geographical spread, to increase spread. Are we clear? That's my job. okay, to spend optimally without spending, which I'm very good at. How much do you think the city of Tshwane's budget is for tourists, for marketing? Destination marketing. How much? Give me numbers, guys. Come on. How much did you say?
3 million.
Anybody else? 5. Under 3 million. But let me tell you where I play with that 3 million. I'm in India. I'm in China. I'm in Japan. I'm in Holland. And I'm everywhere in Africa. I have no desire to be in America. And I know the Brits want to go to Cape Town because they want the sea. And they'll want to go maybe to Kruger because their perception is that it's there and it's the place to be. It's a tick off, okay? And I bring Africa here. So why am I telling you about my budget and where do I play and how do I play? So when I go to China and you speak English, no one gives a rat. They switch off. So I have to find a way. Remember, now I've got a tour operator. So I tell him, no, but I'm going to detect to you how you're going to sell. I'm going to give you content in Mandarin. And you're going to educate your travel agents. I've defined it for them because I want them to regurgitate exactly what I am selling. So we go to China, we speak to them in Chinese, right? We go to Japan, we speak to them in Japanese. And you probably aren't wondering why. Because let me tell you, if you go to Japan and you go to China and you give them an English brochure, whole wad of them, they come in thousands, yeah, and then they throw it out, okay? You speak to somebody in their own, you know the concept of blood is thicker than water? You speak to somebody in their language, they'll respect you. Do you agree? So somebody says, unless this is apologies, but you don't go to them, try and sell them something in your language, you lose them. Speak to them in their language. So in China, what do you think is the most famous tool, social media tool they use to market, to engage? Is it Twitter? Facebook. No, it's not allowed. China doesn't have Facebook, it's not allowed. WeChat. Millions and millions of Chinese people are on WeChat. You want to sell something in the Chinese market? Go WeChat. Don't bother. So identify the tools of communication by market, by need. So we're obsessed with data, right? South Africa. So let me ask you guys, how do you plan your holiday? Do you go on a Facebook, Twitter? Is it word of mouth? Is it your mom? Is it your? How do you find out where you want to go? What do you use? What tools do you use?
Social network.
Social network. Is that Facebook? So you go on Facebook and your friend says, I was in Mpumalanga. Do you know the impact of word of mouth? It's greater at times than social because not everybody's got access to internet, right? We take it for granted. So in your respective market, you speak to people in their language. Do you agree? It's how you reach them. So in Holland, so when you see Tshwane, you'll never see a Tshwane brochure in English in Holland. We do apps in Dutch, in German, in Mandarin. Those are the countries in English. So we play with those people, we play with the tour operators. Then, once we've done the JMA, does anybody know what hosting is? Have you ever heard of the word hosting? I'm giving you the day-to-day of what tourism is in destination marketing. Okay, it's not scripted, it's not in academia. So you've got the JMA, and in your JMA you say, I'm going to host a couple of people. Now the only way a tour operator is going to know about your destination is how. They've got to be here. In my JMA is SAA. So I go and I say, South African Airways, I'm going to give you 5 million rands, 15 million rands. a South African tourism or the Gauteng tourism agency or the Tshwane, and they say in that 5 million rand we're buying tickets for all the countries that we are in to bring them here, okay? And then we say we're bringing the top tour operators, the top travel agents, top media. Those are the people, those are your stakeholders in travel. Besides your consumer, it's the tour operator, it's the travel agents, it's the media, and every one of them have a different role. Tour operator is the decision maker to say, I am Thomas Cook. In Thomas Cook, I've got a travel agent. The travel agent sells the destination. This is the conventional way. This is outside using your social media to book your ticket. That's the internet. The media, why do we need media? For what exposure? Okay. Does anyone, excellent. Does anyone remember the story in OR, international Dutch people accosted? They were mugged. They came in. Do you remember that? Yes. Okay. What do you think happened with that story? Where did it go? It went to Holland. Okay. First thing you do is you telephone. Somebody telephones somebody. Somebody then tells the media. The media writes it. Big story. Now, if you've got a journalist or a media company that's never been to South Africa, is anti-South Africa, they make it a hype. But if you've got a relationship with Telegraaf, they spin it for you. Not to take away the severity of it, they write it in a contextual way. By the time it hits, they say, but it's happened in Brazil. Doesn't make it right. Media is the most important partner. If you've got a good relationship with media, you can almost get away with almost so much. Okay, so when you talk about we changed ministers of tourism, we've changed ministers of finance. In tourism, that doesn't impact who you change, because if you say to the guy, listen, this is coming, by the time it hits the front page, they've put it in a good way. They tell the good story. They have got a responsibility to tell the challenges. But if you tell them, where are we coming from? Why the crime? High unemployment. They put it in their language. They know their customer. They know the reader. Be on the wrong side of the media like we have in South Africa. It's quite sad. We spend a lot of money selling South Africa to foreign media than we spend on investing on local media. It's getting better. Our sad stories are more local about the destination than they are overseas. We get pounded overseas. We get pounded when we've done wrong, but the severe, because they love the destination, at times they're prepared to overlook it. And one of the things I would do, which I've started doing and I've asked other partners, is that we invest as much in local media. So why me hosting? It is to, we'll call it a immersion. They call them familiarization trips. It's to familiarize yourself with the destination. And then you have once they've come in, you've got an MOU with them to say, I will host you for 5-10 days, but you need to do a write-up for me. So we as the City of Tshwane work very closely with the Africa desk. We work very closely with Nordic countries. And we know every year that we're going to host media and tour operators. And when we asked them, and I'll show you, what is your thought on Tshwane? Nobody knew about it 2.5 years ago. And because we gave familiarization trips and we allowed people to be immersed in the destination, we became palatable. People started saying, we want people to come to Tshwane. Then comes the hotels. Then they go, okay, where do I place them? I want them to be close to the Union Building or the Sheraton or the Arcadia Road. Oh, I want to do game. So we know for a fact that we'll never sell Dinokeng to Kenyans because we can't compete with them and they come from wild. But we know that we can take a group of Nigerians like we did to Dinokeng and take them to a mine tour and spend 3 million rand in 2 days, in less than 20 minutes. Okay, so you've got to be able to know what your market needs and where you need to take them. And hosting is a big contributor because budgets in tourism are minimal. Okay. Then we've got what we call, and I'm jumping. You know that tourism is split into two, right? It's one sector, but there's two. Leisure. Do you know what business tourism is, right? Okay. So I'm fighting constantly people in my business tourism unit because they look at it in such a clinical way. I want to bring a conference, right? Conference comes, it happens at Gallagher, the people go back in 2 days, and I'm saying you've got to lend an experience to the delegates that come in from a conferencing perspective. So I'm glad that you know that. Then what we also do is what we call campaigns, tourism campaigns. One could be one where we say we're going to go big on television, hope and pray. We're going to go big with radio, hope and pray. Or you're going to do a content campaign. We do a lot of content campaigns with latching on to South African tourism and GTA. And that for us is very important because people need information, they need content, they need to know where and how. So campaigns are very important, very expensive. Stakeholders in tourism, destination marketing. Who do you think our stakeholders are? Come on guys, who's my stakeholder in destination marketing? You're a destination marketeer. Who's your stakeholder? Okay, now
GTA,
super,
NDC.
super. Now you're at a city level. Your hotels. A destination without sound hotel service is no destination. Okay? Metro Police. If you have a destination that is unsafe, tourists gets mugged, raped and killed like happened in Cape Town, Signal Hill. Nobody goes to it. People get killed in Table Mountain. You're taking away business from it, okay? So Metro Police is a stakeholder. Do you agree? So me and Nelizwe as a city, from the city of Tshwane. Do you know how many embassies are here in the city of Tshwane? How much? Do you know that we are the second largest in the world hub for embassies, 134 embassies. The second after Washington, D.C. Those are my stakeholders. Because any tourist that goes missing, they're my first point of contact. Anything that happens, they're my first point of contact. So you need to know who your stakeholders are, and you have to have relationships. And you must be very clear. In some instances, you'll have what we call associations, and at times they think their job is to market the destination. Your relationships with your stakeholders is critical. We've got to sing on the same hymn sheet. You can't go to a foreign place and say, no, we are the tourism, we do it. Remember, people don't book a destination through a hotel. They do it through a tour operator. They do it through the destination marketing that brings it. So relationships are very, very important. Without those strategic relationships, there's a vacuum. There's another platform that we use to sell the destination. Exhibitions. If you do not go to exhibitions as a destination, okay, there's a conflict or a school of thought that says, why do cities go to destinations and not hotels? I haven't answered it, but I always say, you can stand at an exhibition as a hotelier, and all you know is to make sure that you fill your room. But you need to know where you're at in the value chain. People will say, oh, I like that hotel. But they're likely to buy your hotel through a tour operator. Because remember, you've got what you call fly and drive customer. You've got a customer who does groups. They want to travel in groups of a certain age. You've got a couple that says, no, we're going to go through, we are conventional, we want to go through tour operator. Exhibitions are important, people. It is where the country ambience, the camaraderie, the patriotism as a country. We go to ITB as South Africa and we exhibit. And you've got, there's the conventional way where we say we're just going to exhibit, or you're going to, right now it's very competitive. If you go to an exhibition and in the Africa stand, South Africa is competing with what Ghana brings to the table. Ghana goes all out. They come, they bring the food, they bring the senses of Ghana out. They bring it to the table, and when I say they bring it, they will do Ghanaian tea, Ghanaian cold drinks, Ghanaian food. They will give you your yams, whatever it is. They give you fufu. They give you all the stuff that you would, the senses that you'd experience in Ghana. So if I'm going to Germany, they get the German Ghanaians to bring to the stand. They bring to life Ghana. Okay, if you go to Rwanda, everybody thought Rwanda was a country that was so worn, was about war. Today, it's our biggest competitor when it comes to business tourism. Because South Africans have gone and said, you know what, let's tell the story of Rwanda. You go to Kenya, you can't compete with South Africa with Kenya. Right now, Kenya said, you know what, we're going to open our visa system, which is another barrier of yours in destination marketing. Stakeholder, Home Affairs. It's all good for you to sell the destination and you can't get in. What is the biggest barrier in South Africa at the moment? Visa.
Visas.
Do you know why? You can't, as a single parent, take a child out or bring them in here without the consent of another parent. Everybody's throwing their hands up to say you are reducing the numbers into South Africa, because as a single parent, and I have very limited relation with my father of my child, I need to get him to give me an abridged, it's a process, an abridged certificate, I need all of this, I need all of that. Why bother when I can take the same flight, same amount of money and go to Kenya, land in Kenya, and upon landing, I have a visa. Okay, when you talk about destination, so when you're about to say, I'm going to sell this destination, know your barriers, your bottlenecks. Right now, all the hoteliers and the product owners are saying our biggest problem is the visa thing. And it depends on which side of the fence that you sit in to say, do we want wonke to come in, and then children are being laundered and being trafficked into the city, into our country, and we don't know where they're going, or do we want to have a responsible travel? It depends which side of the fence you're sitting in. Hoteliers are saying you are impeding the rate on the number of people that are coming into South Africa. So Home Affairs is one. Department of Police is the other one. I mean, think about it. You're selling a destination called Cape Town. It's fantastic, isn't it? There's no water. And now you're telling me, please come to South Africa, but you can only use 50 liters of water and you're a group. And there's maybe in that group, 6 of you are family. Those are the factors that you need to factor into saying, when I'm selling a destination, what are my barriers? What are my challenges? How do I overcome my barriers? Who are my stakeholders? And how do I play with them? I haven't gone into this because all of this is all in here, and I'll give you, I can always download it for you. Is that okay? Yeah. Are we happy people? Yeah. Okay. So, any questions? How do we measure that my destination's done well? It's doing well, it's done well. How do I measure? Stakeholders. What were you going to say? GDP, but I need now to know how many people I've got coming into the city. How do I do that? That needs me to go and say to Voortrekker Monument, can you please tell me, Voortrekker Monument, how many people are coming? Do you know which country visits the most numbers? Excuse my English, the highest highest number of visitors to Voortrekker Monument? Can anybody guess? Which country visits Voortrekker Monument the most? Huh? No, somebody else has? No? China. Have you guys ever been to Voortrekker Monument? Yes. Can I make you an offer? Yes. Because somebody will tick Voortrekker Monument. Have you been to Freedom Park? No. Yes. No. Who hasn't been? Okay. Okay, so another offer? 2 offers, 3 actually. 3, right? What's the third one?
Cook.
Palace.
We're talking about
Kruger National Park. Let me ask you a simple question. How many of you have been on a Gautrain? No. Let me put it the other way. Who hasn't been? Okay. Now, I ask you this because if I was to say to you, come with me in a meeting and tell a customer from China or Japan how they can get here, you're gonna say a bus, a shuttle, right? What's the chance of you saying Gautrain when you've never been on it?
Zero.
So and the reason I'm telling you this is that you've got to know your product. You've got to know what Tshwane has. And I'm not sure, and I'm not going to say that the books do justice, but it would be nice to know from you guys at my next lecture maybe, what are the top 10 most visited iconic places in Tshwane outside the Union Building. Leave that as one of the top 10. You got to know them, and you got to know why they're there, how they came about it. If you don't know your story of your city, you're in the wrong profession. And I say that with respect because what are you selling? Another question. Best case scenarios, you all graduate with cum laude. Where do you think you want to be in this space? What does destination marketing mean to you guys? What kind of jobs do you foresee yourself playing in? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? So you've qualified now. There's ads out there in the newspaper because you're not going to see an ad that says a lot destination marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So where do you see yourself playing? So you're looking for a job. We open this. So it's the Pretoria News, right? And you see ads, or you have to create an ad, or you have to create your job. Where do you see yourselves? Where is your skill required? What does this skill you? This course, where do you see it? Where do you see yourselves? And let me tell you, I'm not asking to humiliate you. I'm asking to understand, because this is a very sensitive question to me. It almost brings tears. Because black people in tourism don't understand this sector and the beauty it has. And that's why I'm asking you, where do you see yourselves? Because if you see yourselves as just with a gown and beautiful hat, you've missed it. So you can be a tourism marketing manager, right? I'm a destination marketing manager. I didn't do tourism. You guys are steps ahead. Okay? You could be a trade manager. Trade manager, you know what trade is? You're working with the tour operators. You are busy negotiating deals of how and where and when they're going to bring guys here. You could be a channel manager. Channel manager meaning you could be in marketing. You could be responsible for stakeholder in South African tourism. Okay? Last place you want to be is writing policies, because this is about creativity. This is a people's people. It's about shaking and moving. You know, you can't be a tourism officer. You're too educated. So if any of you go in and get a job as a tourism officer, I will not speak to you. I'll slap you. Not because it is not an important job, but because you've got a BTech in tourism. So go and find out what jobs lie out there in marketing and in tourism. Because if you don't, you are sitting in March, you are finishing in November. By October, you should be starting to look for jobs for the next financial year. If not, by November, you should be starting jobs and saying, I want to go and look at South African tourism, what's coming. I want to go to Gauteng tourism. I want to go to the city of Tshwane. Okay, I want to work for Tshwane Tourism Association, which is a completely different entity. Okay, there's that element. Then there's the element of saying, I want to be a hotel manager. That's hospitality. I think you would agree. Hospitality is where you're working in a hotel and you want to be a hotel manager. I'll tell you a story of a beautiful young girl that brought tears to us. Homolimo is her name. I was having dinner at the Sheraton. She came up and she served me. And I said, here's your tip. She said, sorry, Sis Neliswa, I can't take this tip. I said, why? She says, I'm an intern. It's 5 to 11 at night. I said, what do you mean? She says, I'm an intern in a hotel. We're not allowed to take tips. The tip goes to the person that I'm shadowing. I then said to her, okay, fine, I can deal with that. So I put my money back because I'm not going to pay for somebody. I said, so how do you get home? She tells me that she walks 15 blocks. From Sheraton, she walks 15 blocks. Can't get into the vehicle of staff. She's this big. So I said to her, okay, so where are you studying? This is the Capital Hotel School. Do you know about it? It's like a private institution. I said, what's your grades? She says, I carried them. She gets 95% above. 95 is the lowest. I asked her, what do you want to do? She says, I don't know. I said, who's paying for your school fees? She said, it's my gran. My grandmother is paying my school fees. My mother is a teacher. And I'm asking you guys, what do you want to do? Because I know for a fact that you're sitting here with debt. And this is an industry that needs your skill. But you're not going to get into destination marketing if you don't come alive. And I made an example of Coca-Cola. If you don't live your brand, if you don't live what you're studying, you might as well take that degree, put it in a shelf, 13, and be a waiter. This is the most incredible sector. It's the most incredible industry. And it's split. It's a very split industry. Did anyone go to Meetings Africa? Today? This week? No? Okay. You need to get out of the classroom. I will volunteer where I am able to. I feel for those who are watching in Bombela. But I will give them a word of advice. Go and look for a gentleman called Bolani at Mpumalanga Tourism. He must do this for the Mpumalanga students. I hope they're hearing. Okay, they must ask for a gentleman called Bolani, and I think his surname is Mtetwa, Mpumalanga Tourism. For you guys, I'm going to volunteer partially for you come and see what our office looks like. Okay? Show you what South African tourism looks like. It's by grace, you've just missed it. I did workshops for students like this where they were addressed by the Minister of Tourism. Okay, so I'm finding somebody at South African Tourism to talk about the opportunities in destination marketing. But you can't get through this and just say, I'm just going to cruise and get a 60%, even a 100%. Because unfortunately, sometimes in life, you're not acknowledged by the percentage you get, but the life you bring into your space. Okay? Questions? Questions? Any questions?
I just want to find out, I was working in a car rental company, okay? And first of all, I feel our industry, we are least paid, okay? And then second of all, where we are least paid, we are not acknowledged of the workload that we bring forth, especially working with customers. I resigned personally there, and I said I want to go study.
Good job.
But what I like, what you said now, is that there's a broader space where there's destination marketing, and you can, look into it and then look into the jobs and job opportunities that's there as well.
Let me also be realistic with you. It's a big space. You know, I'm a praying person, but I'm also a hustler. I mean, I can sell sand, okay, to a camel, not even the owner of the camel, and I'll convince the camel to drink it. But there's a starting point in everything, and reality needs to kick in. We come out and we expect we've got a BTech that I want to earn 35,000 Rand or 20,000 Rand. I have a 25-year-old international relations honor student. He's earning 5,500. He's so mad. And I said, what are you expecting? Without experience, you are bare. Okay? So what you got to do is buy your time, get your experience, but have a goal. Okay, so you can't be expecting 25,000 Rand in this industry. You're going to get out. If you're lucky and you get into a good government space, you'll get it. But they'll start you at 12 at 18. Okay? But you got to be realistic. You got to start somewhere. Learn the ropes quickly. So I had a beautiful intern, Mohale. I walked in and he was at my desk. I said, "What the hell do you want in my office?" He was shocked. And he said, "What?" I said, "What do you want?" He couldn't answer me. He said, "I can tell you what, I'm going to recuse you. You're going to go home, think about it, come back to me." Came back the next day and he says, "I want to be you." I said, "What do you want to be me? I'm short, I'm chubby, I'm overweight, and I've got my own process. I want to be you." I took him to every single meeting that I had. If it was into the minister's office, I took him. If it was into the city manager's office, I took him. If it was the finance, I took him. Why? Because you've got one chance, and that chance is taking it. And today he's working for one of the top tour operators. So you guys need to go in there, right, without expectations from other people but from yourself. And you've got to bring it, and you've got to go take it. You've got to tell your intern or person that is chaperoning that I feel that I'm not used. Had a beautiful chat today to say it's such a pity. You guys are BTech students. We're going to have an engagement with your lecturer and the head of department. How do we elevate you guys within our space as the city? Because it cannot be. How many people, or how many are you?
In our class?
Yes, how many total? 20, 30?
About 35.
35. Okay, we've got to come up with a system or a place. It can't be for everybody. I can't promise. I'm just a, so another disclaimer. I'm just a director. Okay? But my title doesn't define my passion. Okay, so for me, the least I can do is to engage with her, the lecturer, and the head of department, and say, how do we, I don't like to say use the best, because the world focuses on the best, isn't it? And mediocrity, we say no, but it takes one little opportunity for somebody to reach into you and you become the best. How do we get this team to be part of tourism in Tshwane, in Gauteng? How do we do that? I don't have the answer yet, but I do know, out of 35, I can tell you that somebody in your team will be sitting in Tshwane. I do know that. Not because of me, because of the will and because of conviction. I don't decide. I create opportunities, and that's what this is about. Destination market is about creating an opportunity and need and fulfilling somebody's senses. Is there anything that I've left out? Anything? Is there anything? I wanted, I'm not sure if it goes through, does it work? I don't know what you want to see. We were a convention bureau, we're under incubation. We're now called Tshwane Tourism. And that's what we do. I want to take you to where, this is my team. I want to just take you quickly. So we talk about different departments. It's not just Tshwane. Events comes to the table, sports comes to the I didn't talk to you about sports tourism, did I? It's one of the biggest in Europe. If China gives Bayern Munich 10 million euros, just to go and play a game because they know the impact of how many Germans will fly to go and follow them. If we could bring just one team, Bayern Munich, okay, Real Madrid, the whole world, the whole African continent would merge here, converge here. Okay, so sport is very important. You need to align. You really need to align. What I didn't talk about in tourism in this your strategy. You've got to have a detailed strategy of what you're going to play, and it's not a silo strategy. It's done with other departments. In our case, we do it with sport, arts and culture, and other people that we're dependent on to make it. Sorry, it's taking a bit long. I wanted to check. So we don't work in isolation. So in my department, somebody says, in Tshwane, today someone is doing a conference on electricity. I tell them, if I hear that you've gone and you've booked a hotel without me, I'm going to come over you. And they go, why? I said, because I can get you a better rate. I can get you a better rate, I'll negotiate a better rate, and I'll add to you. Okay? So we try not to work in isolation. And this is the worst thing you can do. This is, in destination tourism in South Africa, this is what we do. Tshwane has a budget, and we know what we want to do. GTA has a budget, South African tourism had a budget. Before, everybody used to nurse this thing like a baby. And the financial year is done, and we dump money. This cannot be in tourism, in destination marketing. You've got to work with your stakeholders. They have a greater value to bring and greater budgets. Strategically aligned. So this is what we've achieved as the city. Does anybody know Tshwane Open? Tshwane Open, okay. So when we have mega events, the first point of call, what we need to come to is to this lecture room and ask for you guys to come and assist us. Okay? Okay, that's the least. But what I'd like from you guys, after thanking this amazing woman, you need to write to her what you would like from the city of Tshwane. Don't make it her problem. She's got a job. What would you like to see from the city of Tshwane with tourism? How and where should they add value? How can they assist this department in tourism? By the time she meets with our head of department, she's got a hymn to sing off. Don't make it her problem. It's your future. She's got 35 students. How does she pocket you? 5 go to destination marketing, 5 go to sports tourism, 5 goes to arts and culture, 5 goes to, this should be our feeder, okay, for internships. Do you agree? Yes. But if you don't own it and you don't claim it, we go to UP. No, but you understand, because UP is bringing it. You got to bring it. And how many are you guys all from Tshwane? Or you? How many are from Tshwane? Okay, okay, bring it. Where are you guys from? Harangu. Isn't that in Tshwane?
Tshwane.
Okay, I'm having a problem. Very worried. Okay. This is what we've done. Blue Bulls. Do you remember the X-Fighter thing that happened at Union Building? That was our department. Okay. We host, I told you that. Trade India associations from Nigeria, EXCO members, 12 Dutch trade members, golf tourism operators, big here, 18 golf courses, and some of the best in the country. Okay, this is our daily. This is my daily job. This is it. The best of it when I see my son. Dutch, Japan, Austria. These are the countries that we've played in. International offices, editor-in-chief's headquarters magazine. This is the media, the relationships, the stakeholders that we play with. Okay. We've got what we call an ambassador program. Not sure, but they call it engagement with local industry bodies, business events. Okay. This is some of the stuff we've done. Business tourism, bids, advertising. Okay. ICA. This is, I think, at Indaba, yeah? Exhibitions. This is some of the things we did. We did a mass strategy, SLA, which is GMA, magazines, activations, 20 Gallagher for sports tourism, brand and website development, Tshwane Open, Sawubona, the magazines, budgets. I'm going to quickly, this is what we respond to. Destination marketing, tourism marketing, growing, well, our outcome that we respond to is to increase market growth, economic market growth, okay? In a very competitive environment. That's what my job is. For business, for investment, diplomatic corps, ecotourism, townships. Transformation. So, I threw that word at you guys, right? Everybody thinks tourism in South Africa is inclusive. It's not. And I'm from the Cape. There's nothing more sad than I come into Mamelodi or Atteridgeville and there's no buses in Atteridgeville. In Cape Town, Mzoli. You know Mzoli was just burnt down. You must see the number of international people that go to him just to go and eat bride meat. So when people think about transformation, I always say this, transformation, don't think about it as saying it's us having to own hotels because you're a black person. You have to work for that. But it's taking your environment and saying, how do I shift my paradigm? How do I make Garankuwa the place to be? So you say you're looking for a job. Start a tourism office in your Garankuwa. You come to City of Tshwane and you said, listen, I want to promote this route. Okay, I want to do a church tour. In the morning they come, they bit of church. Okay, in the mid-morning we go into something for children, SOS. Lunchtime we do them rainbow lunch. Afternoon they play a bit of soccer or do something with the kids. Late afternoon a jazz, and then I'll throw it afternoon, I'll transfer them to Mamelodi and they'll do a jazz tour. If you don't bring the world into our townships, okay, we're missing the point. They don't know about us, it is our job. And I said to you, destination marketing, tourism, even the president read it out. I'm hoping you read. Did you hear what he said about destination marketing? Yes. Did you guys hear about it? Yes. Okay. If the new president of this country is able to talk about destination marketing and you guys haven't heard it, I'm worried. Hold on, please forgive me. I can't see, so I want to just read it for you because he made a huge thing about it. Okay, here it is. This is from Ramaphosa. Tourism is another area which provides our country with incredible opportunities to quite literally shine. Sustains 700,000 jobs, direct jobs, and in performing better than most other sectors. There is no reason why we can't double in size. We have the most beautiful country in the world, most hospitable people. This year we will enhance support for destination marketing. That's you guys, okay? In key tourism markets and further measures to reduce regulatory barriers, visas, and develop emerging tourism businesses. That's your Garankuwa. We call on all South Africans to open their homes and their hearts to the world. That's transformation. Small, medium enterprises, not because I'm black, but because there's a need. Okay, not because I'm black, but because in where I come from, there is something I believe in and I can sell it. And without transformation, this country will not move, particularly in tourism. And I say tourism is split. It's the haves and the have-nots. Okay? So we know for a fact that a lot of us don't own hotels. We might have shares in hotels. Okay? We also know that a lot of the government are the civil servants who are serving in destination marketing, right? How do we bridge the gap? How do I take business away from the city center and bring it to Mams, Atteridgeville, Garankuwa, Soshanguve? That's transformation. And how do I lift the B&Bs in the townships that they are viable? They are creating jobs, and they are creating opportunities to reduce and alleviate poverty and unemployment. And let me tell you, there's a lady in Khayelitsha, Vicky's B&B, she passed. She made it so big that people from all over the world would stay in her shack, because it was an experience they would never dare to dream of. I always tell people about the role of the black person in tourism. Our mothers were born, they were raised to cook. Who runs the kitchens at Sun International? Who are the cooks? Some mothers. Maybe this generation you've got, your mother's a professor. Don't overcomplicate tourism when we talk about transformation. And it's not about owning a hotel. It's having a part of the sector and making it work and generate income. Maybe some of you don't want to be employed. You don't all have to be employed. Take the entrepreneurial side of it and saying, I am from Garankuwa, I'm going to get a couple of kids. And it baffles me. If kids can thrive by opening a car wash, why can't you open a simple satellite office and take people to show them the reality of your backyard? That's what destination marketing is. It's nothing more complicated. Don't think of the skyscraper, and just bring people. Langa, my township. Anyone from Cape Town? Okay. Langa, where I come from, my township. There are Germans living in Langa, walking around, God knows how, from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. Untouchable. It's a tourism project. My village where I come from, where my parents come from, we've got Dutch people. They come, they help with the planting of the vegetables, they're doing sustainable tourism, they go home. It's not a brainwave, it's not an industry where you're saying, I'm looking for an actuarian or an accountant. It's about having something tangible, emotional to bring to people, and finding and knocking on doors and breaking doors and saying, Tshwane. Right now in Tshwane, one of the top known tour operators is a company called Ubuhle Manara. The guy is an accountant, the wife is an accountant. And they've got a tour operator company. And when I came here, people thought I was ruthless. I said, I will make them shine. I will do all that I can to give them an opportunity. And today, they travel the world to go and sell their product. They're the top preferred travel agent, tour operator for South Africa in most of the tourism. Because I say to companies, I'll give you money, Majeme, but you must use him. I'm not going to get a guy from Cape Town, take a tour to Mamelodi. By Tshwane, for Tshwane, in Tshwane, with Tshwane. That's the approach I take. Because if I don't build Tshwane and I leave mainstream, we have what we're having in Cape Town. When people are standing outside and they're not part of something in mainstream, and particularly in tourism, you're going to have outbreaks. Are we happy? Townships, sports tourism I talked to you about. My role, responsibility, the country first. My numbers, arrival, new markets, partnerships. Support women. There was a program called Women in Tourism. Did anyone ever hear about it? There are a group of children today who's the second group who have been given an executive, who are attending an executive tourism program at UNISA. Because the minister was a woman and she decided, I will invest in women. It is our responsibility. I know, my gents, that you think you're left out. But if you give a woman 5 cents, they'll convert it to 500. The disabled, part and parcel of the stakeholders, SMMEs, I just spoke to you, emerging entrepreneurs. Just remember, in tourism, emerging entrepreneurs also doesn't necessarily mean you have to be within the tourism. You could be in the value chain. You could be supplying eggs to Sheraton. You're in tourism. You could be supplying spinach. There's a lady here in I think it's in either Harangu or Mapopane, who's got a spinach garden. And all they do is supply the hotels. They grow it, they pick it, they supply. They grow it, they pick it, they supply. So you got to know your limitations, and you got to know where you can play. IDP, Integrated Development Plan, which is what governs all municipalities, okay, is to build a strong, vibrant brand identity for the destination Tshwane, and support the local state of the capital, diplomatic business tourism. This was what our previous mayor had said. Could get fired for that one. Turning the dream into reality. This is my job, is to position Tshwane top of mind. Anybody that sees an African says, I'm coming to Africa. So let me give you an example. In Europe, very few people say, I'm going to South Africa. They say, I'm going to Africa. They don't see the boundaries. In Holland, it's Africa. Ooh, yeah, Zuid-Afrika. It's never I'm going to South Africa, it's I'm going to Africa. So, my job, position, top of mind. So when you say, where are you going? Tshwane. And we make them say it properly, Tshwane. And we don't know, we spent 5 minutes on this. What is Tshwane? What does it mean? Where does it come from? Why Tshwane? Okay, what are you going to get there? Okay, attract revenue from tourism sector, grow local business, create enabling environment. That's my job. Accelerate sustainable growth, increase the convention business, which is conferencing, visitors, incentives. Okay. Did you know that we make BMW here?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Do you know what the implication that could be? How would you turn the existence of BMW from just being a manufacturer to being a contributor to tourism? How would you do that? What would you do? Think.
Shuttles.
Okay, what's the other one? Big one. Go to BMW, Roslyn, say to them, Tshwane would like you to have the next conference on your new car or your new launch in Tshwane. Bentley. Did anyone read about the Bentley story? Bentley is calling its next car Cullinan. The next car they're going to launch, it's going to be called Cullinan. So what do? We approach them. Cullinan, the mine. This is the next guy who buys the 10th Bentley gets a diamond. It's finding opportunities all the time with your stakeholders. BMW is around the corner. If they bring a conference, they bring numbers. It brings business. Another one, BMW, all people who've got cars, BMW from the 80s, let's do a car show. What am I doing? People from all over South Africa who are BMW lovers come to Tshwane, we exhibit. It's a tourism activation. People are coming. We are stimulating tourism. We're stimulating people to come into the city. Okay? World-class visitor service. This is important. So, and this is a challenge. Someone was talking about how dirty our city is. Nothing stops you coming up with a plan and strategy to say, we'd like to propose this to the city, how to keep the city clean. Make your mark. So city, we've noticed we've got buildings that are standing. How do we as a city add value? Come up with a strategy. Do you know what they call swylappies? Do you know the swylappies in Tshwane? The guys with the towels, the parking. You know them? Come up with a solution. How do we get those guys part and parcel as tourism? Okay. We promote the destination, person to person, hosting, talk to people digitally, very important, showcases, exhibitions. Okay, being ambassador, being city experts, sectors, conferences, influencers, international buyers, 24/7 actively social media, television and radio. Got it? These are the 7 things that I say we do well. This is Asset Indaba. These are the 7 things we do. This is what we peg from a destination marketing. So I'll give it to you. I'm not sure if it's textbook material, if it's going to add, but this is it. These are the 7 things that we say we're going to focus, because we've got limited budgets. But if we can focus on these 7 things and we align to sports tourism, we ace away. And then I've got hygiene. So we work in government, we work with government money, we work with your mother's money actually. One of the key drivers for us is making sure that we adhere to the guidelines of the Municipal Management Finance Act, and if not, the Public Finance Act. Okay? So this is what we had to do. This is the best. No one wants to give us, but they want you to do more budgets. We're happy. Go digital, go green, or go home. Limited budgets, they streamline you. Focus. You can't do everything, but if you do one and you do it very well, it's like a domino effect. The others will come. This is some of my team members. So this gentleman here, when I came here, I fought with all my bosses. He's a tourism guru in Holland. And I invited him. And I said, come to my city and I'll just pay for your accommodation and I'll get you to be driven around. I want you to go and tell me what you see, what do you feel, what do the people tell you in the tourism space. Shocking what he came out with. Went to one of the hotels and asked them, what is Dinokeng? I'd like to go to Dinokeng. And the front desk lady says, we don't know where that is. This is front office. Went to some guy, says, I'd like to bring you a group around the 18th of January. Please don't bother. We closed. 18th of December. Tshwane closes. Hotels close. Remember, I call this an immigrant town. Makoduka. We go home, those of us who are not from here, be it's from Limpopo, we go home. We leave Tshwane. And unfortunately, hotels can't sustain. There's no business. Parliament closes. Government closes. Okay? And the reason why I brought him, sometimes you need to bring somebody into your destination that doesn't see your destination like you do. Remember, we live it, we see it every day. I mean, the chance of Kruger gone, it will take us a couple of days to realize he's gone because we're so used to seeing it. But somebody else might come in and say, no, leave him there, it works for us. And remember, we're not selling a destination because I love it. I'm selling a destination so that somebody else falls in love with it. I don't know if you understand. It's like a doctor performing on their wife. They never do. They get another doctor to it. Sell what the customer wants, not what you want. Because if it was what you want, you wouldn't be in destination marketing. You'd be a traveler. Okay, so position it so that the other person has reason to believe. What is the value? Word you must walk out with the value proposition of the destination. What is the value proposition? What is the differentiator? What separates us from Cape Town? Why am I competing with Cape Town? Why am I unapologetic to go to Japan? And I'll give you an example. We went to Japan, Cape Town, and all the other cities were there. And everybody was saying, no, we've got this. And we closed the room and we invited all the media and we closed it. And we sold them our Tshwane. And when we sold it to them in their language, buses, thousands of Japanese come here. Do you know what for? Just to see the jacarandas bloom. Japan is about 14 hours away. After you've changed flights in Hong Kong or Bangkok to come here, or London, and all they want to do is to take a picture of the jacaranda, which they can, by the way, go onto the internet and Photoshop it. but they prefer to come here because we sold them the dream that this is the. By the way, jacarandas are also in Joburg. They could have gone and got the jacaranda, but we told them no, we're special. And they believed us because we showed them a jacaranda, street just full of jacarandas, purple and white. So you got to have the value proposition of your destination. This was us at Tshwane.
Got a question here.
Yes.
Can you please just go back to the picture?
I'm hoping I can. Yes.
The white gentleman, do you know?
Jan van Putten.
Yeah, I used to work for that guy.
Jan van Putten, I told you a little story. I don't know if you missed it.
I missed it.
Young girl, right? She now works in Holland because of this man. He took her and gave her an opportunity to work in a hotel in Holland. That man. Stakeholder relationships. Bring your A game. Not for her, for you.
For me too.
For you. And all we can do, I can't promise, is get you to opportunities like that. But I'm not prepared to invest in a dying horse. My mother said, all you have is your name and your reputation. All the other wealth that I have and the things in Cape Town, our house, by the way, it's irrelevant. It's my name. You bring your A game, I'll vouch for you. I would rather vouch for somebody that believes and has brought the A game. So Jan van Putten is the vice president of Hilton Africa. Okay? And he gave us opportunities. Got it? You must go back to him. Never under. You must go back to him. Okay? I always talk about dreaming. I love sleeping. That was our team. The lady in the middle was our boss at the time. She's now the COO of SA Post Office. This was Indaba, 2016, 2015. The best. When we walked on stage, they saw our stand. I wanted to show you, I don't know if, no, it doesn't come out. The picture of Nelson Mandela. We own it. Wherever we go on an exhibition, we don't think twice because we know it's going to bring people to our stand. And people just want to take a picture. And when they get to our stand, we tell them about the highest statue in the world, being Union Building, and they write it down. And then I tell them, if you come and have coffee with me. Struis Bob, they come. Okay? This is it. This is the factors that influence or we are reliant on. I live by this. Very few people can bring me down. I believe that it is up to me to give of myself to you and for you to take from me. The easiest thing you can do is to be passionate. It's the easiest. To work hard without expectation. Just work hard. Be positive. Surround yourself with good people. This industry is small. It looks big, eh? I can walk onto a platform in Japan and I can go to Africa stands, the Africa podiums, okay? Or there's a word they call it, the hangar. And I can tell you that's the guy from Kojo. Oh, that's Dio. That's Adi Dio. That's Mohammed. That's Hloni. It's a very small industry. Therefore, be good to people, be good to yourself, and let your passion be contagious about it. And I'm hoping when I come here next time, you'll be telling me where you've been. There's a lot of places in Tshwane you don't have to pay. You could actually introduce a student pass as a project for your portfolio. I'm assuming you do portfolios. I don't know. No? You could come up with a concept Department of Tourism, Tshwane, to say we would like to come up with a pass for students. Tourism pass. That when you get into Fort Reka Monument, it's free. It's a thought. I'm talking about passion. If you don't love it, if you're doing it because it's what you could get into, you're going to get out of it. It's very simple. Living the dream, achieve it. Remember, achievements are relative. It always seems impossible until it's done. I never thought being born by a maid, my father being a petrol tenant, who both died when I was 8, I would ever have traveled over 30 countries. Never in my wildest dream did I think I would raise my son in Holland, in America, live in Brazil. Never. But because of conviction, passion, faith, and being grounded, I'm more honored by standing in front of you than all those trips. Okay? I think I will end it there. There's more slides, but thank you. Are we happy? Yes. Did I jumped? I jumped. So any questions? Any ideas how to improve?
I'm sure you have some thoughts.